So I know you're asking for the first 15 pages. You mentioned earlier you might ask for the first 50 pages if you're interested in a partial submission. And I'm always curious, why not just ask for the full thing? Obviously, if the first 2 pages are trash, you're not going to read the rest. But if you get hooked, if you're really excited, I want you to have the whole thing right there, right now. Don't leave your comfortable reading place. Stay with it for a minute. Give me a shot. Why ask for less?
It's just, I mean, I guess, at the end of the day, an attachment is an attachment, but it's like, I already have so much to read. Like, don't give me more than I asked for. That's, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, if sometimes something will come in and it's like, oh my God, this is so good. I need the whole thing. That has happened. Um, but like with me, there's a process. I have sometimes I'll have 3 different people read, and they'll one reads the 15 pages, one reads the 50, and one reads the full. And you know, it helps me kind of pace myself, I guess, not to have the whole thing. But occasionally, if when sometimes I will go through my queries and something will just like really stand out to me, and I don't send it to my submission coordinator to like request it. I'll just shoot them a note, send me the whole thing, because I'm pretty sure I want to read this right now. So that very rarely happens, but it does happen occasionally. So, but yeah, it's just we don't. Most agents don't want more than they need. Like, if I another thing is that when you read a manuscript, if those first 50 pages don't work, then you don't want to read the rest. Like that, you know what I mean? Like if it's not set up properly and the writing's not good and all that, everything's not there. You don't. There's no point to reading the rest of it.
That makes sense. No, I would never advocate reading a whole thing if you know, because you've read how many submissions, pretty early on, I imagine, maybe even before the end of the first page, whether there's something here or not.
I usually
But I
give it.
also know an author who was out with his wife for an anniversary dinner, and he got an agent from an email. Hey, I'm interested in reading more pages. Like, oh, we got to go. I got to go send the whole thing right now.
I mean, very rarely, but I have. I had a client that sent me something. Well, he wasn't a client then. I think I was actually in my inbox, the submissions inbox, and saw the email come in, and I read the query, and I was like, "Send this to me right now! Like, send this to me." He sent it immediately. I signed him the next day. That never happens for me, by the way. It just worked out. It was like January 2nd, and I just I personally don't. I go into my inbox like every couple of months, but my interns and assistants, they're all reading it like all the time. And he was like, lucky day, because he just sent it and I read it and I was like, this is amazing. I want to sign this guy. And it happened. That's the fastest. I never move that fast. Never works that well. But that was amazing. But sometimes, like when you see something and you read it and you're like, this is so good. Like, it's that feeling any reader gets when you find a book and you're like, I'm going to read this whole book in one setting. I'm stopping everything. Sorry, kids. Find something and make peanut butter and jelly. I'm going to read this whole story. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of feeling, and that's what agents want to feel. When it's a very exciting feeling when you're like, oh, this is really good. I'm going to read this whole thing. Got to read it. So.